Hello, dear students. Hope you all are doing well. I am Ms. Sylvia Pereira, Faculty of Computer from Adarsh Education Society. Welcome you all for the part 2 session of networking concept. In the previous slide or a previous session, we have completed the chapter that is Introduction to the Networking, Pros and Cons of Networking. Now here introduction of networking, in that we have seen the term network, which is also called as a connection, and networking, that means sharing of resources. Different pros and cons of networking, that is advantages and disadvantages of networking. So as I told you, every technology, every product is having some drawbacks as well as the best part of it. So however we are using the internet connection, it has some drawbacks, but also having the advantages. We are connecting to the world, or we are sending the data very frequently, and we are getting the news, we are getting the information from the internet side. We have learned the components of network and devices of network. That means whatever devices that we have required or we use for making the network connection. So we require devices like computers with NIC interface. NIC means network interface card, different types of cables. So however we are using the guided media or unguided media, that is wireless communication or wired communication, we have to select accordingly the cables, as well as if you are using the wireless device, we require the Wi-Fi adapter, dongle or Wi-Fi router. So for making the communication, we require all these devices to have. Then secondly, we have also learned the communication media. So as I told you, we require the different types of cables. If we are using the guided media, we require coaxial cable, twisted pair cable or fiber optic cable. And if we are using the wireless media, we have to see that we are actually lying on which geographical area. So if I'm lying in the infrared communication, or I can use the radio wave communication, or I can go for the microwave communication. So students, here, today's session, we are going to start the topologies, that is the physical structure of the network. Also, we are going to study the protocols, devices of networks, that are intermediate devices of the networks, network models, and here I'm going to show you how to share the data or how to share a device. So however we are going to share the data, we also can share the devices like printer, scanner and many more. Okay. So let's ahead with the session. So students, the next topic is network topology. Network topology is a systematic description of network arrangement connecting various nodes, that is computers, for example a sender and receiver, through lines of connection. Network topology is an arrangement in which computer systems or network devices are connected to each other for sharing their data. So basically, topology may define both physical and logical aspect of the network. Both logical and physical topologies could be same or different in the same network. There are different types of topologies available. First, bus topology, star topology, ring topology, mesh topology, tree topology and hybrid topology. Now from all this, sometimes the organization select any of the topology for the organization configuration. Now since it is a physical construction or physical configuration of a network, so they select however they are comfortable with. So we are going to learn these topologies one by one in the next session. First topic is bus topology. Bus topology is a network type in which every computer and network device is connected to single cable. When it has exactly two endpoints, then it is called the linear bus topology. We have two features for bus topology. That means it transmits data only in one direction because only one cable is connected to all the computers. In case of bus topology, all devices share single communication line or cable. Bus topology may have problem with multiple hosts sending data at the same time. That means it has a problem that if all the computer transfers data at the same time. Therefore, bus topology either uses CSMA-CD technology or recognizes one of the hosts as bus master to solve the issue. So here, if CSMA-CD, the term I have used here, is meaning that carrier sends multiple access. If multiple people are sending the data through this cable, the collision occurs and it detects in the line. So it is one of the simple form of networking where the failure of device does not affect the other device. So if any system fails down, that means if any of the computer is not working, that will not affect the entire network system. But failure of the shared communication line can make all other devices stop functioning. That means if collision occurs in the line, in the network, then network gets hanged and nobody will transfer their data, or they won't be able to transfer their data or share the communication. Both the ends of the shared channel have the line terminator. That means the cable which is gone or going through this particular computer has terminator at both the end. The data is sent only in one direction, and as soon as it reaches the extreme end, this terminator removes the data from the line so that it will clear the line and other people also will start sending the data in the network. So this features of bus topology, according to that, we have some advantages and disadvantages of bus topology. So advantages are, it is cost effective. Only one cable is required for connecting all the computers as a backbone cable. Then it is for the small network. That means for small network, it is okay that only one cable is connected and no 5 to 7 computers are connected to that cable. It is easy to understand and easy to expand joining two cables together. Disadvantages of bus topologies are, if the cable fails, then the whole network fails. It affects, if the network traffic is heavy or nodes are more, the performance of the network decreases, because here the rule is only one computer or one host can transfer the data at a time. Multiple systems cannot send the data at a time. If this happens, then the collision detects and then network gets hanged. Cable is limited length and it is slower than the topology. In this type of topology, all the computers are connected to a single hub, to a cable. This hub is central node and all other devices are connected to the central node. So central node can be hub or a switch. Every computer has its own dedicated connection to the hub. That means it is a point-to-point connection to the central device. Hub acts as a repeater for data flow. The star topology, however, it is having the hub as a middle device, same as we have the backbone cable in the bus topology. So, in the star topology, all the nodes are connected to the central device that can be hub or switch, as I said, using point-to-point connection. That is, they are existing the point-to-point connection between host and the central device. As in star topology, hub acts as a single point of failure. If hub fails, connectivity to all hosts to all other devices fails. Every communication between hosts takes place even through only the hub or the central device. Star topology is not so expensive as it connects to one or more hosts. Only one cable is required and configuration, that is implementation, is also very simple. We also have some advantages of star topology that are fast performance with few nodes and low network traffic. The central device can be upgraded easily, easy to troubleshoot and easy to set up and modify and easy to troubleshoot as well. Disadvantages of star topology. Cost of installation is little high, expensive to use. If hub fails, then the whole network is stopped because all nodes depends on the hub for their communication. Performance is based on the hub or the central device, and that is depend on its capacity, that how much traffic it can send at a time. But it is more easier than bus topology, and mostly organizations are following or using or implementing the star topology for their organization because it has the best advantages as a central device which is managing the entire communications. And here Here, unlike bus topology, only single node is not allowed. Multiple computers can send their data, and that all the communication can be manageable through this middle device. But only disadvantage is if one device, that is central device, fail to start, the entire network gets ring topology. It is a ring topology. It forms a ring as each computer is connected to another computer, with the last one connected to the first, exactly two neighbors for each device. A number of repeaters are used for ring topology with a large number of computers or nodes, because if someone wants to send some data to the last node of the ring topology with 100 nodes, then the data will have to pass through 99 nodes to reach the 100th node. Hence, to prevent data loss, repeaters are used in the network. Repeater which boost or give the energy to the signal. The transmission is unidirectional. That means only in one direction. But it can made bidirectional by using two connections between each network node, and that is called as dual ring technology. This technology is basically implemented by IBM. In dual ring technology, two ring networks are formed and the data flow is in opposite direction in them. Also, if one ring fails, the second ring can act as a backup to keep the network up. Data is transferred as a sequential manner, that is by bit. Data transmitted has to pass through each node of the network till the destination node. Now, here also we have got some advantages and disadvantages of ring topology. So, advantages are transmitting network is not affected by high traffic, and by adding more nodes, as only one node having token can transmit the data. So, token means it's a packet which transfers through entire ring topology, and whoever wants to send the data will send the data or packet to that token, and the token will be then sent to the receiver's node. And it is very cheap to install, and we can expand it also. Disadvantages of ring topology. Troubleshoot is very difficult in ring topology. Adding or deleting the computer, that means adding the computer and removing the computer, whoever is not working, for example, that disturbs the entire network activity. Failure of one computer disturbs the whole network if we are using the single ring topology. In dual ring, as I told you, that it has a backup line, but in the single ring, it works as a disturbance for the whole network, that one computer fail to start, the data will not be reached to the. In this type of topology, a host is connected to one or multiple hosts. This topology has host in point-to-point connection with every other host, or may also have the host which are in point-to-point connection to few hosts only. Host in mesh topology also work as relay for other hosts which do not have direct point-to-point links. Mesh topology comes in two types. One is full mesh and second is partial mesh. Full mesh, all hosts have the point-to-point connection to every other host in the network. Thus, for every new host, that is n into n minus 1 divided by 2 connections are required. It provides the most reliable network structure among all the network topologies. Partial mesh. Not all the hosts have point-to-point connections to every other host. Hosts connect to each other in some arbitrary fashion. This topology exists where we need to provide reliability to some host out of all. We do have advantages and disadvantages of mesh topology. So advantages are each connection can carry its own data load. It is robust. Fault is diagnosed easily. Provides security and privacy. Now, disadvantages of mesh topologies are installation and configuration is very difficult. The cable cost is more, and sometimes it is difficult also to find out the problem because it is fully meshed. So there is so much chaos of the cables. So finding of the troubleshooting or finding of the fault in the cable will be difficult in the mesh topology. Tree topology. as also we know hierarchical topology. This is the most common form of network topology in use present. This topology imitates as extended star and inherits properties of bus topology. This topology divides the network into multiple levels/layers of network, mainly in LAN. A network is bifurcated into three types of network devices. The lowermost is access layer, where computers are attached. The middle layer is a distribution layer, which works as a mediator between upper layer and the lower layer. The highest level, that is highest layer in which is known as the core layer and is a central point of a network, that is root of the tree, from which all the nodes are formed. All neighboring hosts have point-to-point connection between them, similarly to the bus topology. If the root goes down, then the entire network suffers, even though it is not the single point of failure. Every connection serves as a point of failure, failing of which divides the network into unreachable segments. Now here, if we take an example, the access layers are nothing but the end devices used by the users. The distribution layer is nothing but a Wi-Fi router or a gateway device which connect our private network to the internet side. The core layer is also known as the internet layer also. That means the outside world or outside network. Now, here, the tree topology is the combination of star and bus topology. Here, we have got a single point in a distribution layer, that is as a backbone device which connect us to the outside of the world. But if single point of failure in a distribution layer, we will not be able to connect to the outside world. That means from my Wi-Fi device is not working or it is not providing me the internet connection. I won't be able to access the internet connection at the end device. But if my access layer is working properly, that means my star topology is working properly, which is internal structure of my organization, all the computers can send data among the star topology or in the LAN network. They won't be able to send data. For example, I want to download something from the internet. I want to send the mail. That is not possible because my router is not providing me the internet connection or it is a failure to send the data outside to the world. But if I want to send information among my local area network, I can send that data by using this tree topology. So tree topology is basically the combination of star and the bus topology. So as tree carries the extension of star and bus topology, it also has the drawbacks and the advantages like star and bus topology. Hybrid topology, a network structure whose design contains more than one topology, is said to be hybrid topology. Hybrid topology inherits merits and demerits of all the incorporating topologies because hybrid is the combination of star, bus or maybe ring topology. Our next topic is protocol. A protocol is a set of rules that governs the communication between computers on the network. In order for two computers to talk to each other, they must be speaking the same language. You must be knowing there are different organizations who invent a different component of computer. So whenever or while using this different components by different human beings, we have to use or we have to follow a certain rules which are governed by the networking technologies. Now, for example, if I have to talk across the India, so I will use the simple language as Hindi, which can be understood by everybody. But if I have to speak with a different country people, so either I should speak in their language or they should understand my Hindi language, or we both should communicate in English so that we can communicate with each other. There should not be any barrier between us. So same thing is applicable for computer also. If two computers have to communicate with each other, they follow any other rules for their organization who has made them. But still, while talking to each other, they have to follow this networking protocols only. So many different types of network protocol and standards are required to ensure that your computer, no matter which operating system you are using, which network card you are using, or which application you are using, should communicate with another computer located on the next desk or halfway around the world. Network protocols break larger processes into discrete, narrowly defined function and task across every level of the network. In standard model known as Open System Interconnection, that is OSI model, we are going to discuss that in the next slide. One or more network protocols govern activities at each layer in the telecommunication exchange. We have some protocols listed in the slide also. Let's discuss them, each one of them briefly. The first one is Transmission Control Protocol. TCP is popular communication protocol which is used for communicating over a network. It divides any message into a series of packets that are sent from source to destination, and there it gets reassembled at the destination. Now here, the transmission control protocol is working as a transport method for human or for computers. Whenever any packet sent from one computer to another, this transmission control protocol carries that packet to the destination. However, we have transmission control protocol. We have the same transport protocol like UDP, which is called as User Datagram Protocol. It is suitable communication protocol for transmission control protocol implemented primarily for creating loss tolerance and low latency linking between different applications. So now this user datagram protocol, where the connection sometimes does not occur properly or it is not connected properly, there this UDP protocol take place for transferring the data from source to the destination. TCP is generally used in all the networking communication because it is guaranteed packet delivery protocol. That means if we have sent the packet to the destination, it will definitely reach at the destination point. And if it will not reach to the destination, the TCP will give the sender as acknowledgement that your packet has received by the destination or it is not received by the destination. But UDP, either it will send, but it will reach or not reach, we will not get any confirmation or we will not get any acknowledgement from the destination that the destination has received the packet or packet has been lost. The next protocol that we have here, which is very important, that is Internet Protocol. IP is designed explicitly as addressing protocol. It is mostly used with TCP. The IP addresses in packets help in routing them through different nodes in the network until it reaches the destination system. TCP is the most popular protocol connecting the network. Now TCP is a transport protocol as we have seen, but here IP is the internet protocol or it's the address of each and every computer which carries along with the TCP. So if I am using or my computer is sending the packet through TCP, TCP is containing some address because if I will send a packet to one of my friend, so the courier person, I have to give all the information to that courier person that I am the sender and who will be the receiver. I have to give the full address. So the same way, if TCP is working like a courier boy, I have to give my full information as in my source address, that is my address, my IP address and the destination IP address of the computer. Next is Post Office Protocol, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol and File Transfer Protocol. This generally used in for mailing system. For example, Post Office Protocol is designed for receiving the emails and Simple Mail Transfer Protocol is designed for sending the email from the source computer to the destination. We also have got the File Transfer Protocol. FTP allows users to transfer file from one machine to another. Types of files may include program files, multimedia files, text files and documents. So however, we can share the data from our computer, we can share any kind of data. So in that sharing, we can transfer all the types of files that we want to share with another computer. Then we have Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now here we have got two HTTP protocol, that is one only HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and the other one is Hypertext Transfer Protocol securely. That means whenever we are getting this S after the HTTP, that means our packet is sending through a security. So HTTP is designed for transferring hypertext among two or more systems. HTML tags are used for creating the links. These links may be in any form like text or images. HTTP is designed on client-server principle, which allows the client system for establishing the connection with the server machine. For making a request, a server acknowledges the request initiated by the client and respond accordingly. Now here, we are going to see one video after the entire session. how we are communicating to the web. So if I'm using, for example, google.com, so how I'm sending that request through by using this HTTP protocol, and how this web entirely works together. So I have a video which I have shared in the slide. So at the last, you can see that in this particular video. HTTPS exactly works like HTTP only, but with the security. That means whatever data is transferred from my computer to the destination, all will be encrypted in the encryption system and will not be readable by the normal human being. Telnet is a set of rules designed for connecting one system with another. The connecting process here is termed as remote login. The system which requests for connection is local computer, and the system which accepts the connection is the remote connection. Here, the connection means remote computer. That means the computer which is not available in front of me. I have to access the computer from the office, and I'm sitting at the home. So if I am making the connection to the office computer, I have to use this Telnet communication service. Networking devices. Students, earlier we have seen in the previous session that different components of network that we require. We also require this networking device as an intermediate for the communication in the network at the different layers. So networking devices have different roles to play in a computer network. This network device also work at a different segment of a computer network, performing different tasks. Computer networking devices are known by different names such as networking devices, networking hardware, network equipment, etc. However, all of the names means the same but have got different purpose. After covering different topics on the network topologies and their advantages and disadvantages, we are here once again on the series of these network devices. If we take a look at the different devices, they work at a different layers of the computer network. Different layers of computer network are like different zone of computer network with specified work, also called as network protocols. See these different types of network devices one by one. The first is network hub. Network hub is a networking device which is used to connect multiple network hosts. The network hub is also used to do data transfer. The data is transferred in terms of packets on the computer network. So when a host sends a data packet to the network hub, the hub copies the data packet to all of its ports connected to like this. All the ports know about the data, and the port for whom the packet is intended claims the packet. However, because of its working mechanism, the hub is not so secure and safe. Moreover, copying the data packets on all the interfaces or ports make it slower and more congested, which lead to the use of network switch. This hub generally uses in the star topology as a middle device. Network switch. Like hub, switch also works as at the layer of LAN, the local area network. But you can see that a switch is more intelligent than hub, while hub just does the work of data forwarding and switch does filter and forwarding. So however, hub will receive the data from any of the computer. It will send it to all the computers without checking what data is been sent and to whom it is to be sent. But switch is more intelligent than hub. However, the switch is receiving the packet or data from any computer or any sender. It will check the packet and it will also check the security of that packet, and it will send it to the destination computer, which is more intelligent way of dealing with the data packets. So when the packet is received at one end of the interfaces of the switch, it filters the packet and sends only to the interfaces of the intended receiver. For this purpose, switch also maintains the CAM, that is content addressable memory. It has the memory of address which is stored, whichever port is connected or whichever computer is connected to that switch. Switch is having all the address of those computers table and has its own system configuration and memory. CAM table is also called as forwarding table or forwarding information base. Now, nowadays, organizations are using switch, network switch for communication in the star topology instead of hub network. Modem. A modem is somewhat a more interesting network device in our daily life. So if we have noticed, you get an internet connection through a wire. There are different types of wires. To your house. This wire is used to carry our internet data outside to the internet world. However, our computer generates binary data or digital data in the form of zeros and ones, as you know that. And on the other hand, the wire carries an analog signal, and that's where the modem comes in. The modem stands for modulator and demodulator. That means it modulates and demodulates the signal between the digital data of the computer and analog signal of the telephone line. Router. A router is a network device which is responsible for routing traffic from one to another network. These two networks could be private company network to the public network. You can think of router as a traffic police who direct different network traffic to the different directions. So router basically connects two different types of network or two organization networks. Bridge. If the router connects two different types of network, then the bridge connects to sub-network as a part of the same network. You can think of two different labs or two different floors connected by the bridge. So however, we are using the two different bridges for connecting east to west side zone. Same way in the computer also. Let's take an example in our school. In our school, we have two labs. If one lab is connected with the star topology as for one switch, and other lab is connected with the star topology with other switch. And if I have to make the connection between these two switches, I have to use the bridge connection. Repeater is an electronic device that amplifies the signal it receives. In other terms, you can think of repeater as a device which receives a signal and transmits it at a higher level or higher powers, so that the signal can cover longer distance. For example, inside a college campus, the hotels might be far away from the main college where the ISP lines comes in. If the college authority wants to pull the wire in between the hotels and the main campus, they will have to use repeaters. If the distance is much, because different types of cables have limitation in terms of distance they can carry the data for. When these network devices take a particular configuration shape of the network, their configuration gets a particular name, and the whole formation is called network topology. In certain circumstances, when we add some more network devices to the network topology, is called daisy chaining. A gateway is a piece of networking hardware used in telecommunication for telecommunication networks that allows data to flow from one discrete network to another. Gateways are distinct from routers or switches in that they communicate using more than one protocol to connect a bunch of networks and can operate at any of the 7 layers of the open system interconnection model. Now, open system interconnection we have already learned in the next slide. An access point is a device that creates a wireless local area network or WLAN. Usually in an office or large building, an access point connects a wire router, switch or hub via Ethernet cable and project a Wi-Fi signal to the designated area. For example, if you want to enable Wi-Fi access in your company reception area, but don't have a router within the range, you can install an access point near the front desk and run an Ethernet cable through the cabling back to the server room. So here access point can connect the wired network as well as wireless technology. Connection, that is OSI model. Open system interconnection is the open standard for all communication systems. OSI model is established by International Standard Organization, that is ISO. This model has 7 layers. The first layer is application layer, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and physical layer. These are the 7 layers of OSI model. Why this OSI model is made? As we have seen in the protocol that every computer that is made by any organization has to follow the rules, and these rules are set in this OSI model. So let's understand these layers one by one. Application layer. This layer is responsible for providing interface to the application user. This layer encompasses protocols which directly interact with the user. That means user generally interact with the application layer, and all the application that he used will be sent or will be usable in the networking technology. Presentation layer. This layer defines how data in the native format of remote host should be presented in the native format of the host. Now, for example, I am sending data in Microsoft Office Word, and this person who is receiver is going to receive the message of my Microsoft Word. But if Microsoft Office is not properly supported by the operating system of the receiver, then the communication has to be translated. So the presentation layer will take care of this thing, that two different applications can be worked together so that the communication take place. Session layer. This layer maintains sessions between remote hosts. For example, once user password authentication is done, the remote host maintains the session for a while and does not ask for authentication again in the same span. Transport layer. This layer is responsible for end-to-end delivery between hosts. The transport layer generally uses TCP and UDP protocol here. Network layer. This layer is responsible for addresses assignment and uniquely addressing host in the network. So we have already studied that as a IP address. So IP address works in the network layer. Data link layer. This layer is responsible for reading and writing data from and onto the line. Line across are detected at this layer. So for any problem is there in the Ethernet technology, data link layer will try to solve the problem or will detect the problem at this layer. Next we have here is physical layer. This layer defines the hardware, cabling, wiring, power output, then pulses rate, then data transmission. Everything will be taken care at the physical layer. So physical layer means all the physical devices which sends our data through this electronic medium. Peer-to-peer network architecture. Now, client-server network, this model are broadly used network model. In client-server network, client and server are differentiated. Specific server and clients are present. In client-server network, centralized server is used to store the data because its management is centralized. In client-server network, server respond to the service which is requested by the client. Now, here server is the main computer who actually stores all the data which client want to access, and everything, all the client is dependent on the server for any data and for any communication. All the rights are given from the server to the client so that server can manage all the computers properly. Peer-to-peer network. This model does not differentiate the client and the server. In this, each and every host is itself a client and server. That means they have their own rights. They don't have to take any permission from the server like machine. In peer-to-peer network, each and every node can do both request and respond for the services. That means they can take their own decisions. They don't have to depend on the server for accessing any kind of service from the network. In the slide, we have listed the difference between client-server network and peer-to-peer network. So in client-server network, clients and servers are differentiated, specific server and client are present. In peer-to-peer network, clients, server are not differentiated. So client-server network focuses on information sharing because server is the main device who shares all the data for the client, and it's a central device who handles all the sharing data and manages all the sharing resources. While peer-to-peer network focuses on connectivity. In client-server network, centralized server is used to store the data, while in peer-to-peer network, each peer has its own data. In client-server network, server responds the services which is requested by the client, while in peer-to-peer network, each and every node can do both request and respond to the services. Client-server network are costlier than peer-to-peer network because the server cost is very high and the maintenance of the server is very high, while peer-to-peer network are less costlier than client-server network. Client-server networks are more stable than peer-to-peer network because they have to manage all the network in a centralized manner. While peer-to-peer networks are less stable if number of peers is increased. That means managing to the peer-to-peer networks are little difficult because they are individual system and every computer having their own data. So managing each and every computer's data is little bit difficult task than client-server network. So students, since we are learning this networking concept, the most important topic here is sharing of data. Now, first of all, if I'm going to share my data, the people who are going to access this particular sharing data, the one has to share the data on one computer. So I'm going to show you how to share this data. So for example, I have created folder over here, which is named as sharing folder. I'm going to open this folder. In this folder, I have got one software, that is Microsoft Office 2013, a subfolder which may contain a different data or different types of files. I have one audio file, I have one document and sharing PPT. So I have gathered all the information that I wanted to share with the other students or in the other computers. So if I have to share this particular data, I can share any pictures, any software. So with this sharing folder, just right click on this folder. We will get the option here, properties. After going to the property window, I have got option here as sharing. So I'm going to click on the sharing option. Here we have got two options, that is a normal sharing or with the advanced sharing. If I'm saying a normal share, here I'm going to add a person who can access my data. So if I'm saying everyone, so anyone in the network can access this particular folder. If I'll add this everyone, here we have got the permission as read. That means everyone can see my folder, but they can only read the content. That means they can see the content from the folder, but they won't be able to access. That means opening the folder, opening the data, they won't be able to do anything from this. So if I want that everyone should access that data, I am going to give them permission as read and write. That means they can create their folder, they can see the other data, and they can also write their own data into the folder which they want to share. This is one method of sharing. So this folder is shared, your folder is shared. See, I have got the message from the computer. I say done. In advanced sharing, if we go, here also we have to share the folder. Go to the permission. Here I'm going to give everyone as a full control, change, which is also called as a write permission, and read permission. So by default, every folder in the sharing has got the permission called read. But if I want to give them more controls, like they can change the content from the folder, so I can give the permission also. But here we have to remember one thing, while giving the permission, we have to trust that person. If we don't trust any person, we should give permission only of reading. So we should not share our folder very often. The person which is very trusted, we can share the data with that person. Otherwise, we don't have to share the data with anyone. Our passwords, our data, our logins, we don't have to share with anybody. It is up to you who has to keep all the data with you. I can give the full control. If it is like everybody has to access the data, they have to work on it, I have to give the full control also. I'll say apply and OK. This is a normal sharing permission which we use for sharing the data. Understood, everybody?
For the first time in history, people and machinery are working together, realizing a dream. A uniting force that knows no geographical boundaries without regard to race, creed, or color. A new era where communication truly brings people together. This is the dawn of the net. Want to know how it works? Click here to begin your journey into the net. Now, exactly what happened when you clicked on that link? You started a flow of information. This information travels down into your own personal mailroom, where Mr. IP packages it, labels it, and sends it on its way. Each packet is limited in its size. The mailroom must decide how to divide the information and how to package it. Now, the package needs a label containing important information, such as sender's address, receiver's address, and the type of packet it is. Because this particular packet is going out onto the internet, it also gets an address for the proxy server, which has a special function, as we'll see later. The packet is now launched onto your local area network, or LAN. This network is used to connect all the local computers, routers, printers, etc. for information exchange within the physical walls of the building. The LAN is a pretty uncontrolled place, and unfortunately, accidents can happen. The highway of the LAN is packed with all types of information. These are IP packets, Novell packets, Apple Talk packets. They're going against traffic, as usual. The local router reads the address and, if necessary, lifts the packet onto another network. The router, a symbol of control in a seemingly disorganized world.
Whoops, sorry about that. Let's put this one here, this one here. This one's here, this one goes here. I don't like this one. Let's throw this one, this one goes here. Let's left, let's put this one here. Another channel here. Let's put that one here. Another one there. Let's put that one here.
There he is, systematic, uncaring, methodical, conservative, and sometimes not quite up to speed.
Oops, sorry.
But at least he is exact, for the most part.
That's one that goes there, that goes there, that one goes there, that one goes there, and this one goes there. Another one that goes there, that goes there. He's fine. One goes there, this goes there, it goes there, one goes there.
As the packets leave the router, they make their way into the corporate intranet and head for the router switch. A bit more efficient than the router switch plays fast and loose with IP packets, deftly routing them along their way. A digital pinball wizard, if you will.
Here we go. Here comes another one. And it's another. Watch this, Mom. Here goes. Whoop, around the back. Hey, in there, in there, in there. Over the left, over the right, over the left, over the right. You got it. Here it comes. Right on. He shoots. He scores. It's going. Hey, wait. Watch out. Here comes another one. Oh, here we go. And it's gone.
As packets arrive at their destination, they're picked up by the network interface, ready to be sent to the next level. In this case, the proxy. The proxy is used by many companies as sort of a middleman in order to lessen the load on their internet connection, and for security reasons as well. As you can see, the packets are all of various sizes, depending upon their content. The proxy opens the packet and looks for the web address, or URL. Depending upon whether the address is acceptable, the packet is sent on to the internet. There are, however, some addresses which do not meet with the approval of the proxy, that is to say, corporate or management guidelines. These are summarily dealt with. We'll have none of that. For those who make it, it's on the road again. Next up, the firewall. The corporate firewall serves two purposes. It prevents some rather nasty things from the Internet from coming into the intranet. And it can also prevent sensitive corporate information from being sent out onto the Internet. Once through the firewall, a router picks up the packet and places it onto a much narrower road, or bandwidth, as we say. Obviously, the road is not broad enough to take them all. Now you might wonder what happens to all those packets which don't make it along the way. Well, when Mr. IP doesn't receive an acknowledgement that a packet has been received in due time, he simply sends a replacement packet. We are now ready to enter the world of the Internet. A spider web of interconnected networks which span our entire globe. Here, routers and switches establish links between networks. Now, the net is an entirely different environment than you'll find within the protected walls of your LAN. Out here, it's the Wild West. Plenty of space, plenty of opportunities, plenty of things to explore and places to go. Thanks to very little control and regulation, new ideas find fertile soil to push the envelope of their possibilities. But because of this freedom, certain dangers also lurk. You'll never know when you'll meet the dreaded ping of death. A special version of a normal request ping, which some idiot thought up to mess up unsuspecting hosts. The paths our packets take may be via satellite, telephone lines, wireless, or even transoceanic cable. They don't always take the fastest or shortest routes possible, but they will get there. Eventually. Maybe that's why it's sometimes called the worldwide wait. But when everything is working smoothly, you can circumvent the globe 5 times over at the drop of a hat. Literally. And all for the cost of a local call or less. Near the end of our destination, we'll find another firewall. Depending upon your perspective as a data packet, the firewall could be a bastion of security or a dreaded adversary. It all depends on which side you're on and what your intentions are. The firewall is designed to let in only those packets that meet its criteria. This firewall is operating on ports 80 and 25. All attempts to enter through other ports are closed for business. Port 25 is used for mail packets, while Port 80 is the entrance for packets from the Internet to the web server. Inside the firewall, packets are screened more thoroughly. Some packets make it easily through customs, while others look just a bit dubious. Now, the firewall officer is not easily fooled, such as when this ping of death packet tries to disguise itself as a normal ping packet.
It's okay, Norm. It's okay. No problem. Have a nice day. We out here. Bye.
For those packets lucky enough to make it this far, the journey is almost over. It's just a lineup on the interface to be taken up into the web server. Nowadays, a web server can run on many things, from a mainframe to a webcam to the computer on your desk, or why not your refrigerator? With a proper setup, you can find out if you have the makings for chicken cacciatore or if you have to go shopping. Remember, this is the dawn of the net. Almost anything's possible. One by one, the packets are received, opened, and unpacked. The information they contain, that is, your request for information, is sent on to the web server application. The packet itself is recycled, ready to be used again, and filled with your requested information. addressed, and sent out on its way back to you. Back past the firewall, routers, and on through to the internet. Back through your corporate firewall. And onto your interface. Ready to supply your web browser with the information you requested. That is, this film. Pleased with their efforts and trusting in a better world, our trusty data packets ride off blissfully into the sunset of another day, knowing fully they have served their masters well. Now, isn't that a happy ending?